Welcome to the profound realm of spiritual awakening, a journey that transcends the boundaries of the physical and delves into the essence of our being. In the tapestry of ancient spirituality, the concept of true spiritual awakening transcends the mere intellectual understanding of religious doctrines and rituals. It is an experiential journey that encompasses the very essence of human existence, reaching beyond the confines of the material world. Ancient spiritual traditions rooted in wisdom passed down through generations view spiritual awakening as a profound transformation of consciousness. Central to many ancient philosophies is the recognition that the material realm is not the ultimate reality. True spiritual awakening involves a shift in perception and awakening to a deeper, more profound truth that goes beyond the illusions of the physical world. It is often described as a realization of the interconnectedness of all life and understanding that the divine spark resides within every being. The phenomenon of a spiritual awakening is a phenomenon that has been talked about for ages, and it is not something new or reinvented. Ancient traditional spiritualism, like Buddhism, Taoism, Hinduism, and many other traditions had talked about this concept of a spiritual awakening for thousands of years, and it points to someone awakening to one's true nature. Not only it was taught to people for ages, but also was practiced and implemented. Awakening is a generic term used to point out many things in this world. It is used in different contexts and situations to point out things and circumstances. But in this video or this context, I will be using this term in a matter of spiritual phenomenons. Nowadays in the New Age movement, the term spiritual awakening has been misunderstood and used inappropriately. People believe that a spiritual awakening is something that has to do with metaphysics, religion, ritual practices, or psychological stuff. Everyone in the New Age movement now believes that they are going through a spiritual awakening, but in a true sense, they are not. It's a confusion. Some people believe that a spiritual awakening has something to do with religious beliefs and practices, and those things are not true spirituality, but all mind stuff and belief systems. True spiritual awakening is to awaken to the reality of who you truly are, which doesn't have anything to do with the stories you tell yourself about who you are as a person. This has nothing to do with the name you have, the type of knowledge you have, or anything that defines you as a person. This is to discover the power within you that transcends all the phenomena in this universe. As I have said before, a true spiritual awakening is to wake up to the truth of who you are, beyond the illusion of form and the dualistic operations of this world. This is to wake up and realize that you have been in a dream all this entire time, and all the stories you tell yourself about who you are come to an end. This is like a rebirth process going on. Throughout our lives, humanity as a whole has been conditioned to believe that they are their minds, or this ego personality. This conditioning is referred as to the human condition. The human condition, according to ancient traditional spiritualism, is when humans derive their sense of self from this egoic mind, or in other words, the separate self. We have been deluded to believe that we are this form identity which is made up of the physical body and the mind. Instead of knowing ourselves as this deep eternal presence that has nothing to do with form, we know ourselves as the personality with its limitations. That's how humans see or perceive themselves. If indeed you are not the personality or the ego, then what is you? What is the true self? Who you truly are is this eternal consciousness that unites everything and everyone in this world of form. Every existence in this world of phenomena, including animals and inanimate objects, is inseparable from who you are, meaning you are one with everything that surrounds you. I can use different pointers to point out who you truly are, but words don't matter here. What matters is when you come to that realization of the true self. When we say you are awakening spiritually, in other words, we are saying you are remembering who you truly are beyond the limited person. God consciousness, which is you at the core, is disidentifying from the dream of form. This is to regain what was initially lost. Think about a spiritual awakening as a way home or remembering home. This is all about bringing you back to your true essence that you have forgotten. In other words, you have forgotten who you are by believing that you were your mind. Who awakens spiritually? Is it meant for specific people, or is it destined to happen to specific individuals like Buddha, Dalai Lama, Eckhart, or any other yogi master? Spiritual awakening can happen to anyone because a spiritual awakening is not a phenomenon that picks people to happen at a particular time or place. Spiritual awakening is your true nature, and everyone in this world can awaken when they are ready for it. This is not something to be acquired through the conceptual mind, but to realize that you are the awakening. As I'm speaking right now, you can initiate it now as an experiment. I want you to become aware of your thought patterns right now. When I say thought patterns, I refer to the repetitive thoughts that continuously play themselves in your head day in and day out. Just an experiment. I want you to observe those thoughts without getting attached to them. Don't judge them or try to get rid of them. Be there as a witnessing presence and see what happens. Spiritual awakening is a deeply personal and individual experience that unfolds within the depths of a person's consciousness. It is not confined to a particular demographic, religious affiliation, or cultural background. Rather, it is a universal phenomenon that can touch the lives of individuals from diverse walks of life. The catalyst for spiritual awakening varies widely, with some finding it in moments of profound introspection, others in the face of life-altering challenges, and still others through a persistent quest for meaning and truth. Often, individuals who embark on the journey of spiritual awakening share a common thread of seeking a deeper understanding of themselves and the nature of existence. This quest may arise from a sense of dissatisfaction with conventional modes of living, a yearning for purpose beyond the material realm, or an innate curiosity about the mysteries of life. The one who awakens spiritually is someone open to exploring the dimensions of consciousness beyond the surface of everyday existence. Moreover, spiritual awakening is not solely an intellectual endeavor. It involves a profound shift in perception and a willingness to transcend the limitations of the ego. Those who experience spiritual awakening often undergo a process of shedding layers of conditioned beliefs and societal expectations, allowing them to connect with a more authentic and expansive sense of self. This inner transformation is marked by a heightened awareness, a deep sense of interconnectedness, and a recognition of the sacredness inherent in all aspects of life. In some spiritual traditions, there is the notion that spiritual awakening is a divine calling, an invitation extended by a higher power or universal intelligence. Others see it as an inherent aspect of the human journey, a natural evolution of consciousness that occurs as individuals become attuned to the subtle rhythms of their inner selves and the cosmos. The journey of spiritual awakening is a continuous exploration, and those who awaken spiritually often find themselves on an ongoing path of growth and self-discovery. It is a process that unfolds at its own pace, and the one who experiences it becomes a witness to the unfolding mysteries of existence. Whether initiated by an inner longing, external circumstances, or a combination of both, spiritual awakening is a deeply transformative and individual odyssey that opens the doors to profound insights and a richer, more meaningful way of living. There are two ways in which people experience the spiritual awakening. The first way is through what I call an ego death experience, known as the dark night of the soul, and the other way is intentionally seeking meaning and purpose in your life. If you are watching this video, there is a 90% chance that your spiritual awakening was triggered or caused by an ego death experience. This happens through a process called a forced spiritual awakening. A forced spiritual awakening is when life forces you to know who you are through pain and suffering, and this is not a smooth way to awaken spiritually, but to be forced to go within whether someone likes it or not. In other words, you are being forced to find your true self in the midst of darkness and chaos. What is an ego death experience? Ego death is the death of the false sense of self, the subjective self, or the made mind self, with the goal that the true self can be revealed. This phenomenon has also been talked about for ages by ancient spiritualism, even in Christian mysticism, particularly in the writings of the Spanish mystic and poet Saint John of the Cross, and it is not something new. Nowadays in the New Age, it is now called the dark night of the soul, but it's the same thing. This process of ego death is mainly caused by a life crisis, such as a major illness, loss of a loved one, or a personal crisis. This is characterized by the breakdown of your life situation where everything is completely meaningless with no purpose in life. I can tell you from my own personal experience that this is not a smooth experience, but an extremely painful experience one could never wish for. It can even place you in a suicidal state. I do not wish this to anybody, but if it was meant to happen, it will happen whether you like it or not. This is the death of the perceived life that your ego gave a meaning to. During this process of ego death, you are losing the one you thought you were so that the true self can shine brighter. The ego by nature does not like dying, and when things die, it freaking hurts. That is one of the ways how people awaken spiritually, and it happens through the process of uncontrollable ego death, a very painful and disturbing experience one could not wish for. I can say that the ego death experience is one of the ways used to cause a spiritual awakening. The second way in which people have a spiritual realization is when they decide intentionally to embark on a spiritual path without an ego death experience. This is not something that happens through a life crisis. A person decides to explore deeper existential questions and find a sense of true fulfillment. Just because someone awakens without an ego death doesn't necessarily mean that they will not encounter challenges. You may still go through a life crisis even if you are awakened. What I advise people to do is to not wait for a life crisis to experience a spiritual awakening. Make a choice right now to embark on a spiritual path so that when a challenge or a life crisis presents itself in your life, then you will be ready, prepared, and spiritually stronger to deal with the challenge. If you wait for life to wake you up through pain and suffering, this will not be good for the ego at all, and it will end up confusing you. Don't wait for a life crisis, find God right now, and this will save you a lot of suffering, trust me. That's the two common ways in which people experience spiritual enlightenment. The true purpose of a spiritual awakening extends beyond the realm of mere self-discovery. It encompasses a profound transformation that touches the very core of an individual's being. At its essence, a spiritual awakening serves as a gateway to a higher state of consciousness, inviting individuals to transcend the limitations of the ego and connect with a deeper, more authentic aspect of themselves. This awakening is a call to recognize the interconnectedness of all life and to perceive the underlying unity that binds the fabric of existence. One of the fundamental reasons a spiritual awakening occurs lies in the innate human quest for meaning and purpose. Individuals often undergo this transformative experience when faced with existential questions or a sense of discontent with the superficial aspects of life. It emerges from a yearning for a more profound understanding of existence, a search for inner peace, and a recognition that there is a dimension of reality beyond the material world. Spiritual awakening can also be catalyzed by significant life events or challenges such as loss, trauma, or moments of deep introspection. These pivotal moments can disrupt established patterns of thought and behavior, prompting individuals to question their assumptions about life and opening the door to a broader spiritual perspective. In this way, the awakening process is often intertwined with personal growth and the navigation of life's complexities. Moreover, spiritual awakening is a response to an inner calling and invitation to explore the mysteries of consciousness and the divine. It is a journey that unfolds at its own pace and in a unique way for each individual. The purpose extends beyond the personal realm, encouraging those who awaken to embody qualities such as compassion, love, and a sense of responsibility toward the well-being of all living beings. It is a transformative process that aligns individuals with a higher purpose, urging them to contribute positively to the collective evolution of human consciousness. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If you found value in today's content, don't forget to hit the like button, share with your friends, and subscribe for more. Your support means the world to me. Until next time, thank you for being a part of our community, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.